Merry Christmas! Today we are finishing off 2024 with my favorite metal albums of December, starting with Neckbreakker with Within the Viscera. And also, for those of you who caught the video with Harley, this is our other best boy, Bandit, who by the time you are watching this will have sadly passed on. He has brought us many years of love and joy, and I just wanted to immortalize him in this video one last time. You will be very missed. He also hates being in my lap, so I will spare him that. Anyways, this is the debut full-length from this Denmark death and groove metal band, and they kick things off with a vengeance. Honestly, for all the love that Gatecreeper album got, this feels more like what I was wanting from them. Emphasis on the slimy groove with this headbang-inducing record that still does not skimp on the classic death metal guitar work. There's room for growth in trimming some of the fat with these runtimes and adding a little bit more unique personality, but even so, especially for a first-time outing, this is going to incite some serious mosh pits live. Next up, we have an axis of Perdition with Apertures. One of likely a few late in the year black metal releases that I'm sure by now people complained in the comments about not being on my 2024 ranking video, but hey, sometimes a video just needs to be done. Regardless, this is a stellar release from this English group formed back in 2001 and their first in 13 years. Another slithering serpent of a record that utilizes both traditional and ambient elements for an experience that is as insidious as they come. Tracks like The Truth Is There to Tear Apart and Private Acts of Abnegation even bring some psychedelic Oransi Pazuzu energy. Great compliment to Veilburner as well. Had this come out in time for the ranking, I would have firmly placed it around fantastic. Then we have Detest with A World Drowning in Detest. The third album from this Denmark death metal band, formed in 1990. By the time I came across this, I was kind of winding down on this massive year for the genre, but these guys, out of the dozens of remaining options, managed to reignite the fire in me. More grimy, no-frills, old-school energy executed to perfection. Another one that really just captures the all-around spirit of the 90s, from its cavernous production to the brutal yet infectious songwriting. I'd recommend this one in particular to fans of Necrot, Obituary, and maybe to an extent Bolt Thrower. Next up is Cardinal Noire with Vitriol. As a huge Skinny Puppy fan, somewhat saddened that we didn't get one last album as a part of their final tour, this Finnish industrial band is offering up what very much feels like a spiritual successor. Furthermore, from the harsh vocals to the spellbinding soundscapes on display here, I'd actually compare this to some of their best albums in that discography, especially from their kind of middle period. Many try, but few ride that perfect line of cold steel aggression and flair for the dramatic so perfectly. Tracks like Gen Metal are pure head-bobbing fuel, but others like Diatribe really showcase a level of talent with composition I'd almost put on par with classics like Warlock, while still more experimental ones like Precious Hearts even nod to Last Rites. Then we have Misanthropy with the ever-crushing weight of Stagnance. The third full-length from this Chicago band, highly recommended to fans of Gorguts, Ulcerate, and Artificial Brain. This is more highly technical death metal that also does an excellent job getting its hooks in you with memorable grooves and earworm moments amidst the usual cacophony of chaos. Seriously, I can't praise this enough on that last point. So many tech bands end up being style over substance, but these guys can hang with the best of them with these performances while also understanding that they have a general audience to please and not just a room full of elitist jazz-trained musicians. Wonderful stuff, and I hope to hear more from them in the future. Then we have Panzerchrist with Maleficium Part 1. Another blackened release to miss the ranking, this one mixing in some death metal as well, but leaning pretty hard in the other direction. It's the 9th album from this Denmark band, formed in '93, and it's just raw, unbridled evil that at times is also devilishly catchy. Most of the track names act as simple but effective choruses that I found myself snarling along to as early as the first listen. Standouts for me include Confession, Sister Death, and Savage Daughter. Also, I was reminded, shoutouts to the latest Panzerfaust album in that series that came out last month. I did not get a promo for that one, even though I got one for all the other ones, so it just sort of passed me by. Then we have Todestrieb with Corona Tenebra. Avant-garde music always delivering the goods when it comes to underground black metal sounds. As if that cover art wasn't reason enough to at least check this out, this Polish crew continues to exemplify why this region is so respected in the genre. More incredible haunting atmosphere balanced nicely with more aggressive riff-focused elements, and best yet contained to a very lean and efficient 6 tracks clocking in at just under 30 minutes. Now, since December is always a bit light on releases, I'm also including from late November Bedsore with Dreaming the Strife for Love. I saw lots of love for this progressive band out of Rome in the comments, and while I wasn't as floored as some people out there, I definitely respect this unique approach of the album. Much like Opeth, these guys mix classic sounds of 70s prog with heavier elements to great effect, although with more raspy, blackened vocals akin to, like, Tribulation. Really interesting stuff that is very well executed while giving the listener something refreshing to chew on. I still feel like I should have liked this even more than I did, but I'm at a loss as to what could make it any better. I'll also include an album from this month that I didn't love, but I saw many calling their black metal album of the year, if not just album of the year, and that is Aara with Eiger. Another band that has been extremely prolific, averaging an album a year since 2018 for lovers of atmospheric black metal. This Swiss group admittedly does a good job of capturing the icy, treacherous feel of the cover art, but once more, I just don't find it to be personally all that engaging. I don't think it sucks. In fact, there's plenty I appreciate here, from the performances to the production. I just get a little bored with the drawn-out approach to songwriting, and I'm just really burned out on this style after listening to so much this year. That said, if you like black gazy stuff, don't listen to me, listen to the audience on this one. Then there's Monte Penumbra with Austere Dawning. The third album from this Portuguese black and death metal band, and they bring another fairly twisted take that at times alludes to the likes of Deathspell Omega and Portal. There's definitely a flair for the avant-garde, but also stretches a more straightforward second wave, making this a very dynamic but ultimately balanced union of sounds. Also expect some pretty chilling ambient portions to further add to the overall flow and sense of menace. Another album that would make a great pairing with others like Veilburner this year. There's also Botanist with 7, Beast of Apocalypse. Funny that right after I was so burned out on black metal, so many of my December picks ended up being just that. Regardless, I've been a long-time supporter of this San Francisco project, and the idea of a previously unreleased album that they recorded back in 2016 and promising something on the more raw side of the spectrum was definitely extra intriguing. The plant-focused hammered dulcimer elements are all front and center as usual, but as a particular fan of the older releases like Hammer of Botany, this really was a treat. It has such a beautiful and unique range of sound while still keeping the darkness of the harsh vocals, and it makes the final minutes all the more rewarding. Then we have Nightingales with Shadowreaper. Album number 9 for this German melodeath band formed back in the genre's heyday back in 1995, despite rarely being talked about. I'd most compare their sound to earlier At the Gates, from the dreary approach to the guitars right down to the vocal performance, and especially in a time where melodic death metal has become increasingly modernized and glossy, it's nice to hear an album that really sticks to the roots. Standouts include Open the Sun, The Nihilist Delta, Dead Inside, and Sculptured and Defleshed. Very strong 35 minutes with an old school flair that should both appeal to classic era fans and perhaps act as a gateway to the as yet uninitiated. Then there's Wolfhex with Profane Heresies. One last black and thrash and punk rager to sacrifice to the hellfire this year in this Rhode Island band's debut. It's been a very fun year for the leather-clad Karen-scaring metalheads out there in the likes of Midnight, Hellbutcher, and Vicious Blade, and this album fits perfectly alongside those in its rebellious degeneracy. D-beats abound alongside breakneck riffing and vocals that sound like a threatened, wounded animal. While everyone else is hanging Christmas lights and singing carols, these guys are burning down buildings and pissing into the flames.
I want all of you boys to be able to look me straight in the eye one more time and say, "Are we having fun or what?"
Definitely my most anticipated release of the month, we have Frontierer with the skull burned, wearing hell like a life vest as the night wept. Were this a full length, I would have held off on my best of the year list, to be sure. But regardless, I'm a huge fan of this Scottish band since 2015's explosive Orange Mathematics, and I've been dying for more of their controlled chaos in the wake of the equally impressive Unloved in 2018 and Oxidized in 2021. These 4 songs do not in any way disappoint. The way that Ped abuses his guitar is just so satisfying and often jaw-dropping in a how did he even make that sound kind of way. Every second is pure hype. They should put stuff like this in the year-end headbang challenges instead of the endless parade of breakdowns. Highly recommended to fans of Car Bomb, Psyopus, and the Tony Danza Tap Dance Extravaganza. And then my favorite metal album of December goes to Druparia with The River Above. Every year, there's always 1 or 2 albums that drop late enough that they miss mention in the awards lists, and I'd say that this is easily one of them. Combining the sounds and energy of Darkest Hour with a little Dark Tranquility and Insomnium, this Cleveland melodeath band is just what I was looking for in a month that was a little sparse in terms of options. So many killer songs and moments, from the bass intro of Under the Shade of Sands to the shifting rhythms of In Repose Descend, and Sever the Roots is just a straight banger. Also loving the implementation of piano and violin to further expand on the atmosphere and overall palette, kind of in a Mors Principium-esque kind of way. Y'all check out this playlist for my best and worst metal albums, both ranked and listed, of 2024, or this for the supercut of every month of this year. My favorite albums. It's not even up on the channel yet, but you can click the link early if you'd like to. Thanks for another wonderful year, and I will see you in 2025, again, in the trenches.